Fantastic. Well, welcome everybody to my live online cooking class. Today I am so excited to make with you my creamy broccoli salad. This salad is so great for potlucks and picnics in this beautiful summer weather we're having. And it's really healthy too because in most broccoli salads the dressing is mayo based. But for this one we're making a tahini based dressing that still has all that creaminess but none of the dairy and other weird ingredients. So if you're new to me, welcome. Hello, my name is Jessie Lane Lee and I am a holistic nutritionist, cookbook author, and cooking class instructor. I'm also the founder of jessielanewellness.com where you are viewing this lovely video. So I'm so excited to have you guys here today. If you've never done a live class with me before, I'll just give you a little rundown of how it works. If you scroll down just below this video, there's a chat box, and that's where you can ask all of your questions. So if at any point you have any questions that pop up, just take a little pause, type them in, and I will be more than happy to answer them. There is a bit of a delay, so I won't be answering them immediately, but I will get to them, I promise. The other thing you should know is that this is a live stream, but you can pause it at any time. So if you want to run to the washroom or someone comes to the door, whatever it is, you can pause it and then just press play and resume when you're ready. So really easy to use. So if everybody's ready, we'll get started. So I asked you beforehand to have all your ingredients out. And the first thing we're going to do is cut up our red onion. So this recipe calls for a half of a red onion. And we're going to thinly slice it because it's pretty strong red onion, and if it's big, thick chunks, then it's going to be pretty strong in your salad. So I'm just peeling it now. One thing with red onions, though, when you're peeling them, you want to make sure you actually don't over peel. So I'm really just peeling off this kind of papery layer, but I want to keep the nice shiny layers because so many of the nutrients actually reside in that shiny layer. So the problem is if you peel that off too and you get to the inner layers, you lose some of the nutrients, which you don't want to do. And this is where a lot of the flavonoids are. So something like quercetin, if you've ever heard of that one, I love that one for allergies. It does a really good job of regulating histamine response, so really good for allergy season. My onion is not being very cooperative. Okay, so to finish this peeling process, because this onion just doesn't want to peel on me, I'm just going to cut it in half and then finish the rest of the peeling. So I'm just cutting the tip off first, and then I will cut the onion in half and then see what little bits are left over that I can peel. So we don't need that little piece. We'll put them up there. Pretty. And I'm going to cut this end off, and I think that should take away the rest of my little paper bits. Now, hopefully I don't start crying, but this onion is pretty fresh, so no promises there. It's always good to have a little cry in the kitchen. So for this, I'm going to slice it, again, really thin because red onion is so strong. And I don't want to get big, overwhelmingly chunky red onion like bits when I'm eating the salad. So I've gone really thin. You can see here how thin that little piece is. And while I'm slicing, I'm going to throw them in this bowl because what we're going to do is we're going to put some water in here and let our onions soak while we're doing the rest of the cooking, and that actually helps remove some of the astringentness of the onion, that part that does make you cry and that some people really don't enjoy. Now, of course, if you don't enjoy red onions, you can totally just leave them out of this salad. So mine are getting a little bit big. I'm just going to chop them in half, and then I'm going to cut my whole big slice of onion, I think into 3 because I'm hitting the fat part now. So I don't want, again, I want nice small chunks, so I'm just cutting into 3. And I'm not cutting it the whole way because it's a lot easier to cut if I can keep it together as I'm cutting it. So now I have these nice little red onion pieces, and oh my goodness, I can feel it in my eyeballs. So let me know if you have any questions. Again, the chat is just down below if you're just tuning in now. Any questions, feel free to type them right in there. So another thing about red onions that's kind of cool is red onions actually have slightly more fiber than white onions. Who knew? Weird fact, eh? Neither of them are a huge like powerhouse in fiber, but the red onions have more, almost double the fiber of a white onion. So that's kind of random. I thought that was really neat when I was looking up some cool red onion facts to share with you. Another great thing about red onion is they have vitamin C. So this is really great for people who are allergy sufferers. During allergy season, vitamin C is really helpful at kind of combating those allergies and keeping the immune system really nice and strong. So that's another great benefit of these beautiful red onions. And of course they have lots of phytonutrients because that beautiful purple color. Oh, and the tears are coming. I should have Kleenex in my kitchen. Oh my goodness. Yep, that's happening. Whew. There's some tricks for cutting red onions to not make you cry. They don't ever seem to work for me. Some people say if you hold a spoon in your mouth, you don't cry. I've never had that work. So now I'm just going to put some water on these onions, and we're just going to let them sit for the duration of the recipe. That way it's going to, again, take out that astringent flavor. So I'll just leave those right there. I'm going to wash my fingers and pat my poor teary eyes. Oh! If you're crying too, then we're not crying alone. Oh my goodness. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our broccoli ready. Now, I'm going to get you to fill a nice big pot with hot water, and we'll get that boiling so it's ready to go once we finish chopping our broccoli. And I just use this pot, and then it comes with a steamer basket like attachment, or you might have a steamer basket that goes inside. But I do strongly recommend steaming your broccoli because when you boil it, you'll notice after you finish boiling, I don't need that much water, after you finish boiling, a lot of the water turns green, and that greenness is colored by the nutrients that's coming out of your broccoli. When you steam it, those all get locked inside, so you don't lose that. So I'm just putting this on the burner, and I'm going to put it on high just to get it up to a boil so it's ready to go. So I encourage you to do the same. And I will grab my broccoli. So the broccoli I'm using today is organic broccoli, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time giving it a wash because I know it hasn't been sprayed in pesticides. But if you're using conventional broccoli, then you definitely want to give it a really good wash. I have in my cookbook, Healthy Fresh Salads, I actually wrote a whole section on how to properly wash your vegetables. And that way, if you aren't able to do organic or it just wasn't in the store for whatever reason, you can buy the conventional stuff, and there's a lot of great tips in there on how to get those pesticides off the veggies. So when I do my broccoli, I use the whole broccoli because this stalk is actually really, really tasty. I just like to peel it with my knife because I find the skin is really tough. So I'm just going to cut off the end here, and then I usually cut off the floret. And then what I do is I take this part, like floret-y side down, and just cut along the side to remove that thick skin. Because that skin, again, it's a little bit tough. You don't have to do this, but you certainly can do that if you don't like that toughness. And you can always save these little end bits. These are great to flavor your stocks. You can juice them because there's still a lot of liquid in there as well. Throw them into smoothies, really whatever you want. Feed them to your pets. They will love them, totally love them. And now I'm just cutting it into nice little bite-sized pieces. So, like about this size. Whoops, there we go. Beautiful. And I'm going to do that with all of my little florets. Sometimes the little pieces come off perfectly, so I just go with it. And I'll just cut these little bits of broccoli up. And you just want bite-sized pieces. It is a salad, so you don't want people to have to work too hard or have to cut anything with a knife while they're doing it. Fabulous. And again, if there's any questions, feel free to type them down below in the chat box. So again, I'm cutting off the flowers, sticking to the end, cutting off this little butt here, and then I'm peeling it. Again, you don't have to. It's totally up to you. The recipe calls for 2 florets, but I found the ones that I got at the grocery store are organic, and they were just a little bit smaller. So I'm going to be doing 4 small florets. This recipe is pretty forgiving, so you don't have to worry too much about having exact measurements, right? You can just make it to your own taste. Oh, and I hear that water is going to boil soon. Very exciting. Awesome. So the cool thing about broccoli and all cruciferous vegetables actually is that they have incredible anti-cancer benefits. So that's why I love including broccoli in a lot of my meals because it's so good for that anti-cancer prevention. It contains something called indole-3 carbonyl, and that's the active ingredient that actually deactivates the estrogen that metabolizes tumor growth. So really great way if you know people who have breast cancer and stuff like that in their families, you can tell them, eat a lot of broccoli. It's a really good way to help kind of reduce the risk of the tumors developing. Another great thing about broccoli is that there are cruciferous, there are sulfur-containing vegetables as well, and sulfur compounds are so important for our overall health and wellness. Really great to have. They actually increase liver detox. So that means that, it's going to be great for anti-cancer, but then it also has a ton of other benefits because our livers work really hard. Especially in this day and age, we're getting vegetables that are just coated in pesticides. And we're just day to day exposed to so many toxins outdoors and indoors as well. People often forget that when you buy new furniture, it's pretty bad. It needs to off-gas, and our mattresses and our pillows are just sprayed with fire retardant, and our dry shampoo and hairsprays, and the list goes on. So it's really nice to eat things like broccoli to help the liver detox process, just to give our body that extra little tender loving care that it needs to feel awesome. Broccoli is also actually a really good source of vitamin C, which is kind of cool because normally when you think vitamin C, you automatically think oranges and citrus. Oh, I hear my boil is going. So I'm just turning this down to a medium heat just to keep that boil going so that when we throw it in, it's ready to go. So yeah, really great source of vitamin C. And the cool thing is that vitamin C actually helps with the absorption of calcium into our body. And broccoli also has a lot of calcium. So when you put the two together, the broccoli being high in calcium and being high in vitamin C that helps the absorption of calcium, broccoli is really great for bone health. So really good for anybody who has osteoporosis in their family or just is concerned about it in general. Oh my gosh, this is really boiling. I'm going to turn it down. Medium-low we're at now. It's quite an enthusiastic boil going on over there. So I'm on my last one and just roughly chopping, and then we'll be ready to steam these lovely shoots of broccoli. And my dog loves broccoli, so I'll throw that on the floor for him because he just will munch away on any veggies I put down there very happily. Delicious. So hopefully you guys are going. Let me know if I'm ever going too fast and you need a pause. Please let me know in the comment section and I will slow right down and let you catch up. Because I've made this recipe tons of times, so I may be a little bit fast when I do it. Fantastic. So there we have our broccoli. It's going to be about 4 cups once you've cut it all. And I'm just going to place this. There's holes at the bottom. I don't know if you can see them. So I place it over the boiling pot with the top on for 5 minutes. And that's going to steam my broccoli. I don't want to do it for too long because I still want it to be that nice, bright, vibrant green. You know you've done it too long when it kind of starts transitioning into this swampy kind of green color. So I'm just going to put this in here. And I will set my timer. Perfect. So I set my timer for 5 minutes. That's all it needs. Really, really quick. So while that's in there, we're just going to go ahead and prepare an ice bath for this broccoli. So as soon as it's cooked, we're going to submerge it in ice just very quickly because we really want to stop that cooking process when it's at its delicious, vibrant green peak. Because we have to do some other stuff, and if it sits around in the hot pot with the hot water underneath it, it's going to continue to cook. So to do that, I just take a glass bowl, and then I'm going to throw some ice cubes in it. Super easy. And then we'll just fill that with some nice cold water. And this, again, it just stops the cooking process in its tracks. So super easy to do. And you could do this with all vegetables. I know with green beans and asparagus, really popular because when those overcook, it's not so good. So there, ice cubes in a bowl, as easy as that. And I'll just place it here while we wait for the cooking to finish beside our beautiful onions. So the next thing on our list is our creamy mayo-free sauce. So delicious. This one has a lot of ingredients, but don't worry, every single one, I promise, is so worth it. So I'm just going to bring them all over here. Now I'm an eyeballer, so I'm not going to be measuring as much, but while you grab your ingredients, grab some measuring utensils as well if you're a more precise baker, cooker, a recipe maker, we'll say. So, I think, oh no, we need these later. Perfect. Oh my gosh, I have like, for my little cry fest, something in my eyeball. So I like to make this in a small blender because I'm lazy and it's really easy this way, but you don't need a blender to do this. So all you would need to do is first mince your garlic, and then you can just mix all the ingredients together in, maybe you can put them in a mason jar, shake it up, or in a small bowl and whisk it, really whatever you have available to you. Since I'm using a blender, I'm just gonna roughly kind of chop this 1 clove of garlic into 6 pieces and throw it in because I know my blender will do all the work for me. So if you're mincing, mince away. If you're blending, then blend away. Sometimes I take a little like shake it up break just to make sure that it's really blended. Perfect. Ooh, I can see our broccoli. It's starting to get nice and vibrant. So you want to make sure it's pretty well blended. If there's chunks of garlic, it can be a little shocking, we'll say, when someone takes a bite of that. So the next thing we're adding into this is tahini. I love tahini. Tahini is so delicious. It's just sesame butter, basically. They take sesame seeds and they blend them until the oil is released and it turns into a butter similar to peanut butter. Now this is what gives the recipe its delicious creaminess. Now if you didn't have sesame butter, any other nut butter would work really well. So mine is a little bit chunky, but I'm just eyeballing. You want a 1/2 cup here. So you can measure that out or you could eyeball like I am. I find usually 1/2 cup is like 1 or 2 like ginormous scoops. Well, that was a very ginormous scoop. Mine was really settled today when I opened it up, so it's a little bit chunky. Not a very smooth tahini, but still delicious. So 1/2 cup of tahini goes in there. Next, we are adding nutritional yeast. Have you guys used nutritional yeast? It is so good. It gives this recipe a delicious, like zesty, really like tangy, cheesy kind of thing. It is really easy to find. I buy mine and a lot of my ingredients at the bulk store because it's a lot cheaper that way, and then you just get what you need and you don't end up with stuff sitting in your cupboards. So you don't need to add a nutritional yeast, but I highly recommend it. It's also a really great source, a great vegetarian source of vitamin B12. So really cool. So it's about a 1/4 cup. So I'm just going to pour that in. Close enough. And don't want to miss out on that one. If you have it, if you don't, it'll still taste good though. Next, we're going to add some paprika. Just adds a little bit of flavor. So that you're going to need a 1/4 teaspoon. I'm going to eyeball it. I want to add more. I like paprika a lot. It adds a nice heat. And some salt and pepper. So I'm using Himalayan pink salt here. It's really nice to buy either this Himalayan pink salt or like actual sea salt because then it has all of those great nutrients. Whereas the stuff that you buy at the store has been stripped of them and then they add synthetic iodine back in. So I would say stick to Himalayan rock salt or actual sea salt. Now I'm going to give this broccoli a test. What we're looking for here is we want it to be soft but still have a tiny bit of crunch, and we want it to be a vibrant green. So mine actually might need a little bit more. We've got that vibrant green, but it feels a little bit crunchy. You can hear it. So I'm going to give my broccoli maybe 2 more minutes because I do want it to soften just a tad more. All right, so where were we with our sauce? We did our salt, and now we're going to add some pepper. So I just have some regular, fresh, cracked black pepper here. And these are to taste. I don't really ever measure them, but if you were to measure the salt, maybe 1/8 teaspoon, the pepper about 1/4. Something like that, of a teaspoon. And then we're going to add apple cider vinegar. So this gives it a really nice tang to the recipe. I love apple cider vinegar. It's such a great, flavorful vinegar. And if you're buying the good stuff, you'll see it has like little floaty bits, and that means it has probiotics in there. So that's really great for gut health. So it's going to be 2 tablespoons of this. That's probably 1. And that's 2. Again, I'm going to eyeball it. And then we're going to add some extra virgin olive oil, about 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons of that. Delicious. This is going to help us absorb all the fat-soluble vitamins in the broccoli and the other ingredients. Because not every vitamin is water-soluble. Vitamin A, D, E, and K are fat-soluble. Really cool. I think that's all of our ingredients. Double check. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to start with this. I'm going to give it a shake and then blend it. Now, if you're finding it's too thick, then you can add water for sure. It just depends on how oily your tahini was. So mine, I think, is going to be okay, but we'll make sure it just blends here. Yeah, you could hear it when it just thickened up there. So let's see what we're working with here. Nice. Okay, so mine is a little bit thick. You can see it's like staying on my finger. Delicious though. So I'm going to add just a little bit of water. About a tablespoon. I also added too much apple cider vinegar to mine, so if you're eyeballing along with me, it may be a little bit apple cider vinegar. Okay, so before I blend that, I'm just going to check on this broccoli again. See how we're doing here. Oh, this looks good. I think this is going to be it. So if you stick your fork in, it should be soft, but not too like mushy and still vibrant. So that's exactly where mine is. So that was 7 minutes that I did it. So you can make a note of that. Yours might have been done in 5. I don't know. Just depends on how strongly your water is boiling. So all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take the broccoli and I'm going to dump it into this ice bath. So I stop the cooking right where I have it because this is where it's vibrant, this is where it's delicious, and I don't want it to start getting that kind of swampy green. So I'm just throwing it in here, giving it a nice stir to make sure that the broccoli is fully submerged and stays in that nice vibrant green shade of deliciousness. You can see my ice cubes are starting to melt. Perfect. So I'm just going to throw that right here for now, and we will just do the final touches. One more blend here on this sauce. All right. So if you did what I did and added too much apple cider vinegar, you could always add a little bit more tahini to kind of soften that blow. But you know what? Now that mine's blended, it's tasting really nice. All right, so now we're ready to put this together. We're pretty much done. So exciting. Super fast salad. I'm just going to get these out of your way so you can see what I'm doing. Bring these lovelies over. Fabulous. So now that we have the broccoli, it's getting nice and cold. I don't like doing dishes, so I'm just going to strain it again through this hot colander steamer basket thing right back in here, and then we can use the same bowl that we put the ice bath in to mix the salad. So I just dumped it all in there, and now I'm just going to clear this out of the way and put the broccoli back in. So there are some ice cubes in here, so we'll have to pick those out. So I'm just going to dump the broccoli back in here, nice and drained, and then make sure I get all of those ice cubes out of there because that would just water everything down as they continue to melt. So you can go fishing. If you were not adverse to dishes, you could just use a new bowl. That would work really well too. I just really don't like doing dishes. Efficiency, I suppose. I don't know. Okay, I think I have all of my... Oh, I knew there was one more. Okay, I got them all. I got all my ice cubes. And I'm just going to throw it together. So I'm going to add my sauce, and then we'll add the 2 toppings. So I'm just going to spoon it out here. You can see as I spoon, it's so nice and creamy. Like, look at that. So creamy, so smooth. No hidden chunks of garlic. Now you'll notice it's a lot of sauce. I really like sauce. I'm like a sauceaholic, so I like a lot of it. If you're not a sauceaholic, then you could always do a little bit less sauce. But I like things just totally drenched. It's so good that way. So good. And now we're going to add our onions. So we've had these soaking in the water for about 20 minutes. So I just like to go like this with my hand dump it out. And then I'm going to give them a little rinse just with cold water to make sure any of those astringent properties really just leave with the water, leaving us a nice, delicious red onion flavor. Perfect. So I'm going to dump that in. I'm also going to add goji berries. So traditional broccoli salad usually has bacon, which we're not including, and also has raisins. But instead of raisins, I decided to mix it up and put in some goji berries because they are just a powerhouse of antioxidants. And antioxidants are so important because they help us fight free radical damage. So free radicals are these little guys that kind of like bounce around in our bodies, kind of like a pinball machine. And whenever they hit something, they cause little bits of damage. So when you have lots of antioxidants, those free radicals that are bouncing around get neutralized so they don't cause all of that damage. So really great for that. Really good for the summer because it helps combat any skin damage that happens with lots of sun exposure. And mine you can see is in a jar because again they're expensive, so I like to buy them in bulk because it saves you a bit of money. So I'm adding a half a cup of these goji berries and then another half cup of pumpkin seeds. So again, usually we have bacon, but I didn't want to put bacon, but I wanted some sort of protein source. So that's why I decided to go with pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds are also really good for men's health. They're very high in zinc, and they also are really great for arthritis. So anybody with sore joints and stuff like that, pumpkin seeds are going to be your best friend. So good for that. So now I'm just mixing this salad up, and I'm going to be patient with it. The dressing is a little bit thick, so I just want to make sure it evenly spreads. There was a little bit of water that was left at the bottom of the bowl from the broccoli, and that's great because that will just help thin my dressing and make sure it spreads really nicely. So I'm just using a spoon to really get in there. You can always use your hands. You guys know that I love using my hands for things because it's so much more fun that way. So I'm getting really nice and mixed here. Everything's evenly coated. And really doesn't look overly saucy. It's like a perfect amount of sauce in my mind. So hopefully yours is looking just as delicious and inviting as this. Haven't had dinner yet, so I'm really excited to eat it. There! And that's it. That is so easy. We made this delicious salad in under half an hour. And look how beautiful that is. So delicious. I'm going to try some because I love to eat. Loving it. It's so nice to get the sweetness from the goji berries and the crunch from the broccoli and the pumpkin. Oh, so good. I can't wait to dig right into this. This is half of my dinner right here. So again, this recipe was from the Healthy Eating on a Budget. So you guys all got that awesome ebook for free. But if you're looking for more delicious salad recipes, I strongly recommend you check out my cookbook called Jessie Lane Wellness Cookbook, Healthy Dairy-Free Desserts. Now it contains over 30 recipes with vibrant images, and I said the wrong one. Healthy Fresh Salads. Dairy-Free Desserts is my other cookbook. Healthy Fresh Salads. Tons of salad recipes. They're all really cool because they're not like the regular take lettuce from a bag, put it in a bowl, get your salad dressing from the grocery store, dump it on top, and just eat it. Because we're so bored of those salads. So these are really interesting salads. They're full of fiber, they have protein, they have healthy fats, and a lot of them are so filling that they act as a full meal. So I strongly recommend you pick it up. You can get it in digital format or on Amazon. This is coming out on Amazon really soon, so if you're listening to this live, stay tuned. If you're listening to the recording, it's probably already on Amazon. So you can just search Jessie Lane Lee on Amazon, and this one and my other cookbook will come up. So thank you guys again so much for tuning in. I really enjoyed making this delicious creamy broccoli salad with you, and I can't wait to see you again for the next cooking class. Bye, everybody.